Yes. Hang on here a second. I think we were going to be done that fast. Okay. JB Burkhauser is an auto repair specialist with over 35 years of experience, with expertise ranging from A-level and ASC certified master tech, shop advisor manager to automotive trade school instructor and technical writer. He is highly sought after industry leader who has been published in both the US and Europe. JB currently serves as the Director of Education at Bolt-On Technology, the leading provider of automotive software solutions that solve the most common struggles facing the automotive repair and maintenance industry. For more information to get in touch with JB, please visit boltontechnology.com. Thanks, John, for being here.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm really glad to be on board. Thank you, Pamela, and everybody else that's on board, because I'm looking forward to doing this. And let's get started, especially since most people probably finished eating their lunch sandwiches already, right? So let's see here. We want to go into our application.
I finally got in here, Jeff.
Oops. 1 second here.
It bounced up for a second there, John.
There we go. All right, so you should be seeing the ASA Northwest, and I'm really sorry that we didn't have a live event last year. I was really looking forward to it, but here we go. This is brought to you by ASA Northwest and Bolt-On Technology, and what we're going to be talking about here, folks, today is Lunch and Learn, presented by your ever-popular John Burkhauser, as you've already heard. But we're going to sit down and we're going to munch a bit, and we're going to talk about our diagnostic inspections. And what I'm trying to do here is open the door to a couple of things for you folks. So as we go through this presentation, hopefully you're going to pick up on a number of things that if you go to the world of being a digital inspection shop, there's a lot that you can do. But first off, make sure, everybody here's got what they want, digital inspections. All right, so they offer, you know what, hang on 1 second. It's always, that's what tells you that things are good, is when you start having some kind of technical difficulty. There we go. Just 1 moment. All right. So can you see that screen there where it says digital inspections offer lots of options?
No, we don't see that yet, John.
All right. Give me 1 moment. Come on, you can do it. How about now?
Yes.
Excellent. Sorry about that. So anyway, the big thing about digital inspections is that, as I've already said, they offer lots of options. The paper inspection has served us well, but it's basically time to say goodbye to it, because it's done its homework. It's finished, and they just don't work anymore. So what I'm trying to do is let you know that the digital inspection is not only going to be used for these courtesy inspections and things of that sort, but the digital inspection can be used for a lot of different reasons. So if you have digital inspections where you can build your own inspection, you have the ability to build the courtesy inspection, which is the number one thing that everybody wants to use the inspections for. Car comes in for an oil change, we do a quick courtesy inspection, and that's the meat and potatoes of it. But how about protecting yourself from any kind of issues from tow-in and drop-offs? You can build an inspection where you actually walk around the car as it's being dropped off and document exactly what came in, so there's never a discussion between you and the owner of what happened, because a lot of things tend to happen on those tow-ins. Then there's the comprehensive baseline inspection. You're already doing the courtesy ones, but the comprehensive baseline inspection is a top to bottom, front to rear, left to right, complete inspection of a vehicle where you measure out everything. And it's probably an inspection you're going to charge for. And the reason I suggest having an inspection like this is that if you can persuade your customers to do this up front, every courtesy inspection that occurs after that can refer back to this initial baseline. So what I'm trying to say here is that the comprehensive, you measure the brakes. Next time they come in for the courtesy inspection, you measure the brakes again. and you have the ability to reach back at that original one and show the customer to wear. And what I like about that's I call it a wear history. And the customers are going to see these things wearing, and know what? Hopefully they'll mentally and financially prepare for when it's time to replace those brakes. So it's a good reason for the comprehensive baseline inspection. And then finally, what brings us here today is the diagnostic inspection. All right, so what's the big deal? Why? All right, well, the why is, if you read a lot of materials that are out there from a lot of the great publishers and people that we pay attention to, it seems to be still a struggle for shops to actually charge for diagnosis. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. I can go to the local parts store and they're going to plug in, give me a code, and I buy a part. And we know that none of that stuff works. So sometimes shops are struggling to charge the customer any kind of diagnostic fee. All right. But the thing is we deserve it. We deserve to get paid for our tools and everything, and we want to be sure that the customer knows that they're getting something of value for that diagnosis. Hence, that's why I'm talking about a diagnostic inspection. Every time you go to the doctor, they're going to do the same thing: check the blood pressure, check the heart, put you on this horrible thing over there called a scale. And you know what? They may even do extra stuff to you. And you know that you're not walking out of there without paying a deductible or some kind of fee. And if you do ask them, hey, can we just waive the fee or whatever, they're going to probably send you in for more testing to get your head examined. And you're going to wind up paying for that too. So if they can do it, why can't we do it? So diagnosis and the inspection, we have the tools. We're going to use special tools just like they do. We're going to have the ability to check the pulse of the vehicle and see how things are working. And we've invested the money in these tools. We've also invested in our people that are actually doing the work. So why can't we charge for the inspection? The engine, the vehicle that we work on, changes yearly, and sometimes even faster than that. And here's one comparison that I always think about. A doctor, they work on a device, a body, the human body, that hasn't really changed much in the last couple thousand years, and why can't they charge? So why can't we, when we have a vehicle in front of us that we constantly have to keep up with? And on top of that, you know what, with the technology that's underneath the hood, the technology that we're using to diagnose it, starting to look a lot more and more like what we see in the hospitals and the doctor's offices. And people that are going to the medical facilities, they know that this stuff's going to hopefully come up with the answer for whatever their problem is. Well, we should probably be sharing this stuff with our customers too. So you really deserve to have a return on your investment. And that's why I suggest these inspections. And that's why I suggest that you charge for diagnosis. That baseline inspection, I know of some shops that have built that, and they're charging over $100 for that inspection. They're building value by showing the customer what they're doing. We need to have that same comfort zone when it comes to diagnosis. So go out there and grab your latest and greatest equipment. Just kidding. Man, remember these things and the old bear units and whatnot? But anyway, let's move on. Diagnostic inspections are going to build value into your diagnosis. All right. They're going to build trust, because for the first time, your customer comes to you and you tell them that they need such and such, and you're going to be able to give them something to show what was done. Because again, pushing against that whole business that a code tells you exactly what it is, we need to build that level of trust. And these inspections are going to allow you to do that. They're going to allow you to document. All right, and documentation is pretty important in our society today, and documenting everything that you do. And also, it's a benefit for your technicians, because if they document their pattern, what they're doing, their diagnostics, they can always go back and show you that they did everything. So if they're running into something that's hard to define or diagnose, they can always show you all the steps up to where they got to. And then lastly, a benefit from these is that you can actually build these in a way that you can train younger technicians or guide technicians about how they are going to go about doing the diagnosis. And with today's shortages of individuals coming into the field, hanging on to people is really important. So any way that you can build and train them and guide them is a way of helping them stay with your business. And if you bring somebody in from the outside that isn't quite up to standard, having these things where they follow the steps is going to help bring them up to speed and help them do the job that you want. So there's a lot of benefits to doing a diagnostic inspection. All right, they let your customers see, and that's the other thing to bring to your attention. A lot of times, we grab their car and we take it in the back, and then we come out, and we have this big estimate about what we found and what we have to do. This here is going to give your customers the ability to be in the shop and see some of what you're doing, and that's also valid with the digital courtesy inspections, because customers seeing what you've done or what you're trying to persuade them to get fixed, that usually works. I mean, as a shop foreman in a dealership, I know that when I walk the customer out to the vehicle, they usually saw what we're talking about, understood, or maybe they didn't, but know what? They usually went and took care of it. Well, these digital inspections, these digital diagnostics is another bridge to that, helping the customer see and understand what's going on. So with diagnosis being a step-by-step process of elimination to find the root cause of an issue, the inspection further helps us do that because it provides a step-by-step method of going about doing what you got to do. And the other thing about this is that you have the ability, since you're doing this on tablets, to have access to different sources of repair information. As a matter of fact, you can actually do screenshots and put some of this information right into your inspection so that you have a reference point to go back and forth. And you know what? Think about this. Doing these and having this information on the inspection is showing the customer that there's a fair amount of work going on behind the scenes. All right. And all it takes is having a tablet there and picking it up once in a while, reading what it says, following it, doing what it says, taking a picture, whatever the results are or whatever, and then putting it back down and carrying on. Now, a lot of people out there are probably saying, well, you know what, the customer's not going to understand a lot of what we're showing. And this machine here, most all of us know it's an AC machine. And if I showed that to a customer, they would have no idea. But that's not really the important piece here. The important piece is that we're showing them something that we've done. We're showing them some of the equipment that's being used for the diagnosis of their vehicle. And even though they don't understand it, they're seeing something that they've never seen before. I mean, when you think about this part of the diagnostic inspection, I can pick up the phone and I call a customer and say, listen, we need to replace your condenser. It's got a big hole in it, it's leaking, and you're looking at a few $1,000s. All right. Or I can send a diagnostic inspection that says to the customer, all right, here's where we're going, because you realize the customer has no idea where the condenser is. All right. Here's the look in through that grill, and you see that yellow? Well, we dye test your vehicle to find out where the leak was. And now here's an even better shot. And unfortunately, there's a stone or something that got in there and hit it, and that's why it's got to be replaced. You've now not only shown some of the diagnostic routine, but you've also directed their eyes to what we're talking about. And now in their heads, they can make that connection, which makes them more apt to follow through and get the repairs done. Again, customers have no idea what long or short-term fuel is, but putting something in front of them and showing some of the steps that you've done, showing your customers that green isn't always good, when you're testing for a leak inside the head gasket. Also, they're telling you, oh, I just put these tires on. What do you mean there's a problem? Well, being able to put video is also a great tool. And as you can see here, if a customer's looking at that, I'm pretty sure that they can see that there's a bump going by. And less explanation and being able to show them is what's going to help them purchase the repairs, the tires that need to be done. Another side of this here too is the fact that your noises, and I'm big on noises because that's what I wound up doing a lot in the dealership. But when I get into a car and I drive it, I hear things that bother me, but is that necessarily what bothers the customer? And my experience is no. If I go fix what bothers me, there's a good chance that that customer's going to come back and say, you didn't do anything. So being able to take video and remembering that we have the ability to put sound with it is another way. So imagine sending this to a customer and saying, this is the noise that we identified. Is this what you're looking for? So when the customer gets that and they hear exactly and they go, yeah, that's exactly it, they can now respond to you and let you know that you're right on the money. And think about this. In that inspection report with that video, you can already have the estimate right there. So they can call back and say, yes, that's the noise, and please go ahead and get that taken care of. So hopefully you're starting to see some of this. And again, back to the business where the customer may not understand what we're showing them some of the stuff that has to be done to figure out why they're having an issue with their charging system or whatever it is, and putting it in front of them is something that no one else has done. And is giving them a view of what's happening behind the doors in the garage. And it's giving them the ability to understand why they're paying for that diagnosis. And here's a perfect example. I mean, why does it cost so much to put a timing belt on my vehicle? Well, here it is. We're putting it in there, and take a look. And this is building value in everything you do. Matter of fact, not only on a digital diagnosis, I suggest that you use digital inspections to show the flow, the process of repair that goes onto a vehicle, and send it to the customer, especially if it's a multi-day event. Because that way they see the progress, they see what's going on, but they also understand why it's costing so much and why it's taking so long. So again, just showing them, I think, is the big thing. And there's another big piece to this puzzle, is because you're documenting everything, that if something should go awry and somebody arrives at your doorstep with a lawsuit, because these inspections don't go away, you can always go back and refer to them. You just go back and find a link for the one that you're looking for and open it up, and you have it all right there. You have something to lean on. And I have learned, unfortunately, when I go into court for shops and dealerships that I've worked at, that the better you're prepared, the more information you have when you walk into the door, the better it's going to turn out for you. So having these inspections is a great way of showing, hey, when we looked at the vehicle, this is what we saw. I mean, for example, we do Pennsylvania state inspection, and customer leaves and comes back a couple days later and says one of the headlights is out, you missed it during the inspection. It would be our word against their word. But there's a local shop here. What they do is they document the inspection by using a digital inspection, and they were able to show that both the headlights were working. That was the end of the discussion. So being able to have documentation of what's being done also works in your favor. When you have a technician or someone that takes shortcuts all the time, well, if they have a step-by-step process that they're supposed to be, taking pictures, etc., that's going to be a little harder to do. So it works in many different ways. So the one thing that I wanted to start out with, is the AC performance test. In some parts of the country, it's still pretty warm, so this still applies. But the AC performance test is a great way to demonstrate how the diagnostic inspection is going to work. So let's go through the actual performance test itself. The first thing that we should be doing is getting in the car and verifying the vent operation, the temperatures and everything like that, and make sure we have some kind of issue going on. Because we know that if it's stuck on the hot side, the blend door, well, there's our problem. All right, the next step is a visual inspection underneath the hood. And we need to do this, one, to be sure that the customer hasn't been attempting to make repairs and putting some crazy stuff in there. So that would be your next step as you go through. And then, of course, a visual of the drive belt, is there, is it in good shape, et cetera, et cetera. IDing the refrigerant before you plug in your big, expensive equipment and checking the pressure. These are all steps that I recommend being done. And also, let me give you a little background. I taught automotive for about 10 years post-secondary. So I do the step-by-steps that I'm showing you right here. And then finally, because the cooling system can have an adverse effect, that is something else that should be looked at while we're doing a diagnostic inspection. Well, all what you see here can be distilled into this. What you're seeing here is the editing side of building an inspection through bolt-on technology. And what I've built here is the AC performance test. And every one of these things is called a point. And what each point does, as you go through, it breaks down that piece of the system into a subsystem. Like the AC performance test is the overall test, but these are the subsystems or sub-pieces that we're going to take a look at. So when we go and do this on the technician side, what this does also for us is gives the technician verbiage that's appropriate to be used. So we're still on the editing side of the inspection, and here's where we're going to name it. But here's what we give to you, or what you could do for yourself. And you can actually download some of these from the internet when using our software. But here, we're listing the possibilities that may be happening with a belt. Is a broker missing? Is in good shape? Doesn't have a moderate wear or whatever? And all a technician does is taps on these things, and all the verbiage that's already in place goes in, and that's what the customer is going to see. And whatever we find, shouldn't there be a recommendation? Well, absolutely. So if we go to the next piece of the inspection, here the technicians found what's going on, and we've already listed a number of ways that we're going to approach this. Are we just going to replace the belt? Are we going to replace the idler and tensioner, et cetera, et cetera? And all these things are just a tap away for your technician. And another key piece to this is that if you're using canned jobs in your management system, you can build them right in here. So your technician, when they find something wrong with the belt, guess what they're seeing here? All the possible different ways that the belt can be approached. And when they tap on these, it'll go back into the management system, so estimate could be built. This here is the technician side. Kind of showed you the understructure, but what goes on up here is when the technician taps up here, that's where we're going to get all this text from. And then, of course, the recommendation down there. And they're going to carry on through. And what can be done with these things is, as I said, this can be written in such a way that it directs the technician what the next step is and how to go about it. All right, so look at this. Bring the vehicle into the building and allow it to cool with the ACMX, blower and full, and photograph the lowest temperature reached, because you know we want to start with a great baseline again. And that's what it describes. And if our people are doing that, they're going to note it by taking the pictures. And it's a step-by-step process that we can guide them through. Oh, look at that. So just to give you an idea, this is actually that inspection being performed on a vehicle. When the customer gets it, they see this information right up front, and it gives them all the basic information. Of course, the vehicle health's not going to be good in this situation because we have a problem. But there goes the test itself and every point in this, and this is exactly what the customer is going to get. So we're going to go through this a little deeper in a little bit, but that just gives you an idea of what the customer is going to say. So documenting this with the tablet, no more scribble, no more interpretation. All the issues that are related with paper are pretty much gone. And this diagnostic procedure doesn't only have to apply to air conditioning, it apply to everything, even a road test. And drivability diagnosis is a piece of cake. You road test the vehicle, which you should do up front. Did you find any issues? Is there no issues, et cetera, et cetera? And then your diagnostic drivability, and then your repair of the system. And look at that, verifying. And that is something that's done on the AC repair too, the performance test, is that you want to verify it's fixed and show the customer that this thing's blowing icicles or that check engine light is out, et cetera, et cetera. Because again, this is a piece of proof that the technician has actually done diagnosis and made the repair. You know, and a lot of people, including me, believe that the repair is the end of diagnosis. And what I'm saying here is if I've put that part in that I diagnose as bad and it fixes it, well, diagnosis is done and the car's ready to go. Unfortunately, we know sometimes that part goes in and it doesn't fix it, so now we have to go to the next step. So having a verify function built into this, I think, is pretty important. And again, you have all the ability to build this out any way you wish. What did you find underneath the can notes, et cetera. You also have the ability to plug into some of these Bluetooth scanners and pull the information right out. So again, you can start showing the customer that it's not just about codes. There's a lot behind this. As a matter of fact, you got your monitors here, and most people don't even know what they are. And you know what? They still may not know what it is, but you're showing them something, building the value in what you've done. All right. The other side of this coin, and I've already went into it a little bit, is because the inspections are on tablets and sometimes on phones, et cetera, you can install your repair information right on there. And what the software allows you to do is to copy that VIN right out of that inspection and paste it right in there. And within a few moments, you have full access to whatever your service software is, be it All Data or ProDemand, et cetera, et cetera. And having this in the hands and the tools right in the technician's hands, right in the bay, that makes a lot of difference. I mean, how much time is spent by people going out to the PC and kicking somebody off of it and then finding the vehicle by the VIN and then finding no paper, finding no ink, all that stuff. Where here, it's all right here and right now. And on most tablets, if you just take your hand and swipe it across from left to right, you're going to take a snapshot of everything that you see. And again, those items could be pulled right into an inspection. So having the inspection, do the step-by-step, having the information here on how to go about fixing and what tools, et cetera, are required all at the fingertip, I think that's going to make a big difference. And you also can share this stuff with the customer if you wish. And as you're going through doing the diagnosis, in our integrated systems, you can even go through and draw. You can mark up what you're taking, whatever the picture is, and draw the customer right to what the problem is. You know, the inlet door actuator is the failed part here, and that's what we got to fix. So as I mentioned, it can also be used as a training guide. Okay, you build your routines, no crank, no start, and what's the first thing is going to be looked at? Generally, is going to be the battery, because it's the heart of the electrical system. And you have this built also in the order that the technician should do it, because you know what? The hold down terminals and cables, if there's a problem with any of those, won't they possibly affect the battery? And that test will show that, you know, if it's been bouncing around or we got lots of corrosion. So we have the ability to build these out in such a way that the technician can follow it. And then a starting system check, of course, would be the next thing. One of the things that I'm missing here, though, is checking the engine to make sure it spins, because once in a while you get that jammed engine, and that's why it's not going to start. So you have lots of flexibility. I can go back in there and put that in if I wish. And again, like I've already shared, having access to the technical information right on the tablet and being able to copy it and take a picture of it and put it right into the inspection, again, shows proof of what they looked up and what they followed and what they did to find the diagnosis. So building these out is pretty straightforward. And one of the things I like about this too is that your technician should be involved with it. And what I mean by that is, as they're using these inspections, even the courtesy inspection, they should say, well, you know what, we need a note for this and we need a recommendation for that. And they should be able to help you put that together. And here, as you can see, we have the ability to build it out in such a way that it's actually a diagnostic routine in itself. Those are the steps that you would follow to see what's going on. So digital diagnostic inspections, folks, I really hope that I've persuaded you that there's a good reason for them and that you can use these to bring a customer to pay you without any arguments, to be able to show them what you do and show them some worth for that diagnostic money that they've invested. And the best thing about this, as I've already showed you, is that these inspections can be sent directly to your customer via text. So your customers, no matter where they're at the office, at home, whatever, when they get that little beep, they're going to take a look. The average text is looked at in about a minute and a half, and 99% of them are looked at in 24 hours. But they can now take a look at this, and right from wherever they are, they can take a look at that inspection and see exactly what you've done. So the inspection arrives on their phone, they tap on it, they open it up. Couple of things here, we can have all their information. We make it very easy for the customer to reach out and contact us through any different methods. And here we go. I mean, this is basically the inspection I was showing you earlier, but here we have the ability to lay it out. That's what the car came in with. All right, so it's obvious that the air conditioning wasn't working. And then throughout the process of what we do to find the issue, well, the belt could use to be replaced. And we identified it and it passed, so life is good there. And then, of course, if it's something like a compressor and we've used dye, we can show them the results of that. And finally, the customer can scan through all this stuff and see, once repairs are made, that indeed the system's working. Because, you know, there's that crazy moment when, you know, you do have a comeback and the customer's like, you guys didn't do anything. Well, here's the first time you're able to say, well, you know, we did get it working. We're going to have to take a look at it and see what's going on. And that could be a difference in, you know, a happy and unhappy customer. Alignments. when you try to explain caster and camber and tow to a customer, it just doesn't make sense. But when it comes down to the world of green and red, it's easy to show them, hey, this is what we need, why we need to do alignment, and we need to get that arrow in the middle and make that green. And then you show them the afterwards when you've done it, and they actually see a result. So you're actually showing them why, and that's what it's all about. So diagnostic inspections are going to build customer trust, and that's something that's very hard to get, but once you get it, you usually can keep it. And the other thing to think about here is when you build trust with a customer, they're probably going to come back. You know, your first visit from a customer, they're probably, you know, they only have a 20% chance of purchasing anything. But if you keep those customers coming back, they have up to a 65% of purchasing whatever you recommend. So trust is big there. The transparency, it's like walking them out in the shop and letting them see exactly what's going on. That's another big part of this. So they can see what you're talking about. And again, they may not understand, but no one else is actually doing this. It's very rare. And then the education, and this is the part that I kind of like a little bit more than everything else. We're educating our customers. I mean, inspections in general are educating the customers. And what I mean by that is they are now seeing their car. They're watching the brakes wear down. They're watching the tires wear down. We can even start out and show them a seep and over time show it go to a leak. And we're educating them on what things need to be done and what don't, you know, doesn't have to be dealt with right now. And that, instead of selling a customer, they're educating and they're making decisions to do the repairs before they get worse. So I see that as another good outlet of this. All right. So get a return for your training and your equipment. You deserve it. A doctor's not going to let you out without getting paid. You deserve it, not to be afraid. And using the digital inspections to do that, I think and I believe is going to make it a lot easier for you to do that, because now you have a report to hand over to your customer. And not only do you send these digitally, you can also print them out if you wish. All right. So there you go. If anyone has any questions, I didn't hear anyone cut in at this point. I'm open to them.
If you'd like to take your device off of mute and ask a question, we'd love to have you do that. I see everybody's muted.
It's one of those mutant kind of days.
If you would like to also ask a question, you can also put that in the chat. Any questions?
No. What's the capital of Peru?
Hey,
Yeah,
Jeff,
question, John.
Yes.
Jeff,
How long does a digital inspection take to be shared to a customer?
Well, if I'm texting it, milliseconds.
What about an email?
Email, you send it immediately, and as soon as they click on it and open it up, that's when they got it. If you have a customer would prefer it through email as opposed to texting, you say, all right, it's on its way. You know what? Even before you finish your statement, it could already be there and they could be opening it up on their device.
Would the shop know if the customer has viewed their inspection?
Our software does tell you exactly when the customer looks at the inspection. We get a message back that says customer's viewing it.
All right, great, thanks. Good presentation.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Jeff Baker, did you have a question? You're on mute. No, you're still on mute. It says you're off of mute now, but we can't hear you for some reason.
Microphone on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Try that one, John, or Jeff.
working now?
Yep, there you go.
Okay, I had an auxiliary speaker that was plugged in. Maybe that was stopping things. I really didn't have much for questions. I just thought I would let you, this is really good presentation. It was really organized and put out some key things that right away I realized that we're not doing enough of. So we're not showing enough people their broken parts. And I see how, having the technicians give us some feedback on things that we should program in there. Some of the automated responses for them would be good. Anyway, I just want to let you know it was a really good presentation.
Well, I appreciate that. And I just want to reiterate, when you are doing the digital inspections, if you're just getting into them, I really highly suggest that you have a shop meeting with the technicians and advisors and everybody, maybe every 2 weeks in the beginning, and tweak them, because they're not carved in stone.
Right.
And then after that, at a longer interval between, maybe every 3 months or something like that, or if something comes up, it's pretty straightforward and easy to make a change. But I think putting a system in place is the most important part of it. And if you've been using the software for a while, be it ours or somebody else's, I highly recommend that you stop and take a look at how you're using it and see how you can improve on it.
Right. The one thing I did notice too, and maybe it's, maybe it's just in your software, was that you had the ability where the technician was actually checking off his diagnostics procedure. So it was pretty much right there, that he did test ride the vehicle, blah, blah, blah. And those is something that we actually were doing when we were more handwritten. And we actually developed some sheets because we wanted to know that was getting done. And now that we've got away from the sheets into the digital, we don't really have that, or I haven't found it.
Well, there's the flip.
It's very important. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a flip side to that, because when you're using our integrated solutions and our non-integrated solution, you can actually go into the inspection and see where the technician's at. So you can actually watch them from afar and see how they're progressing through, either the standard inspection or the diagnostic inspection, and, start making your notes as they go through and find things. And when they come to you with the final answer, you may already have your estimate partially built.
Right. So I don't know if that's actually built into our software. I won't turn this into one of those type of meetings, but definitely my brain is actually clicking that, do I have this? If not, do I need this? So I want to let you know that's got some wheels turning here in my head, because I think it's a really good idea.
Well, feel free for anybody.
We have a question here from Ken. Is there a way the customer can watch a timeline feed of progress without us texting or emoji, like a link to check progress?
When using our integrated solution through Mitchell, we can send a text in the morning. Once that repair goes from an estimate phase to an RO phase, there's a link that will watch the exact progress all through the day. So if you're really good about doing your progress from the beginning to the end and changing your status as you go along, the customer can literally, the same text that you sent in the morning, tap on it and see that it's down for parts or it's being worked on, whatever. So that is available, but that's our integrated solution through Mitchell.
Great. Yeah, Emily said digital inspections are amazing. They make such a huge difference in building trust and helping educate the customer. Thanks for that comment, Emily.
That's great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a comment.
Go for it, Leon.
Leon and then Ben.
Okay, I want to say I highly recommend John's method of system of procedures of doing the testing. I think that's extremely valuable to keep consistency from car to car, even if there is 5 or 6 steps that you're going to go through for a no crank or whatever it is. It just helps keep technician focused, and the technicians may vote together on their best and favorite procedures for the first 10 steps, and then you can edit and make that just a protocol in your shop. And it's amazing how everybody can get on the same page. You get more uniformity. So the digital inspections not only has its value in communicating with the customer, but it also has its values in helping the shop to overcome some impediments they may be experiencing over the last number of months or years, and can actually make a revolutionizing thought in the shop. And that's what I've found in my shop, is to get everybody on the same page. I think this is a great tool for that.
Yeah, we as humans need a little guidance, and I think that's what this basically comes to be.
Right. Ben, you had a question?
More of just a comment. I just wanted to say thanks. as a consumer, having detailed information like that when I take my car in to get it fixed is huge, because I have no clue. You know, I worked on my cars when I was younger, and those cars were 80s, 70s, and 80s vehicles, you know, and I could sit inside the actual engine and do the work that I needed to do on it. But nowadays, with all the computer systems and everything, I have no clue. I won't touch it. I won't even do a damn oil change on my car. So when, you know, if I go to a shop and they have something like this that can show me like, hey, this is what we've done. And we do that on our side, like on the insurance side of things too, on the commercial policy. This is what we've done, and this is what you're going to see. Because with us, we're selling a contract, and with you guys, I have no idea what kind of work just happened on my car. I have no clue. I have no idea what was wrong with the car. I have no idea how far the alignment's off. Like, so just to have that peace of mind, knowing that, hey, we went through and we did this, 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 and this, it shows value in what you guys are doing. And so as a consumer, it justifies the amount of money that I'm paying for the work that has been done, if that makes sense.
Great.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Any other questions? Okay, we're coming up on time here. So John, thank you so much for your presentation today. It was great. So
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
yeah. So thanks again, everyone. And our next Lunch and Learn, like I said, is October 15th. Lunch and Learn, Kim Walker of Shop Marketing Pros. Her topic is going to be setting yourself up for 2021 marketing success. So thank you so much. And we will see you all in a couple weeks. Or if we don't see you, we'll see you tonight on the Pierce County chapter meeting. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks, guys. Good seeing you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's fix some cars.